Well, so if in the market for an SUV, a large size SUV, and want something different from the usual, you want something which isn't a Fortuner or an Endeavour or tried and tested products like that, and you want something which is reliable because it's a Japanese car, but something which is different in terms of styling, then the Isuzu V-cross is a car which you should definitely check out. Now today I've got the BS6 version, the upgrade version of this car with a new engine, a new heart, and of course there are some minor changes on the outside as well. If you see the front end of the car very closely, you'll see a lot of chrome on the front end, huge Isuzu badge which you can't miss, and of course projector headlamps along with LEDs and fog lamps which get a lot of chrome around them. The bumper, the projector headlamps, the overall face of the car is heavily sculpted. It's a very heavily and very muscular looking face, so it has solid road presence. When you go on the road with this car, it has great presence, and even the side profile, it does look like a mean machine. A lot of pronounced wheel arches, huge wheels as well, 18-inch wheels with 225 section tires, and of course a running board. And at the back you get, on the side rather, you get the V-cross badge as well. And of course if you see this car from the back, you'll see that even the back end has loads of road presence. Of course it is just 2 rows of seating, and the third is taken up by this huge loading area which has a capacity of over 250 kilograms. Anyways guys, now let's talk about the interiors of this car, and after that we'll drive it around and tell you how it is. If you see it from the back, of course you can see this huge badge all across. You can't miss it that this really is an Isuzu product. As you might be aware by now, is the online expert in terms of spare parts. If you want a spare part for your vehicle, they have it in their list. They have the most extensive spare parts catalog, right from the most affordable small car to the top of the line luxury car, you name the car, and they have the spare parts for it. And the best point is that they have the spare parts from a host of different component makers and different price segments for the same spare part. So if you want to buy a cheaper part from a different maker or a more expensive part from a different component maker, they have the option for you. Well, I'm inside the cabin now of the Isuzu Dmax V-cross. The good point about this car is that the seats are really high set, and you sit up really high. It is a tall car as well, so you can easily have a chat with those bus drivers directly looking in the eye, and you can easily look down on those puny motorists who are driving those SUVs or those so-called SUVs, and you can tell them this is the real SUV you're driving. Mini or micro SUV, this is the real deal. And when you jump inside this car, you hold this grab rail, you just feel very much holding it, and it feels like a proper rugged SUV. You get a stereo system over here with a CD player, which is something which would have been great about 10 years ago, but this dashboard and this design, everything, you also get a USB, but this dashboard design, everything reminds you of 2014, 2012, maybe 2015. It's not a very fresh and modern looking design, but that's quite okay because this car's overall appeal also is in ruggedness, in no nonsense engineering, and in overall being a car which offers you a total SUV experience. So in that sense, quite good. The face and finish is decent. Plastic quality is quite decent. Equipment list isn't very generous. Automatic climate control, multiple airbags, a 6-speed automatic on this version. The steering wheel has the buttons for the controls of the stereo. In terms of the overall practicality, you get 2 glove boxes, one here and one here, and both of them are quite decent in terms of the space. But the fanciest feature on this car, which I really like, is this. You pull out this little box over here, and you can easily keep your Diet Coke can and switch on the air conditioner, and it'll keep it chilled on that long distance journey. Also a beverage holder over here and a big tray where you can keep your odds and ends. In terms of practicality, it's a good place to be, and overall also I really like the personality of this car. It's got a no nonsense, simple, easygoing personality. Also inside the cabin now, the rear seats rather, of the Isuzu Dmax V-cross. Now in terms of the knee room, it is quite good, and headroom also is quite generous, and the front seat has been adjusted for my height. And again, just like in the front, you don't get too many fancy features, too many luxury features. In the back, you don't even get AC vents over here, but that's quite okay because in place of those AC vents, you get a USB charging point, and when you open this little place here, you can see 2 beverage holders, so you can keep your Diet Coke cans over here. Now this is a very rugged kind of SUV. It's not a very luxury SUV, so to say. So in that sense, it goes with the personality of the car. File holders as well over here, which is very basic, again very basic kit inside this car. The seats though are quite comfortable, underthigh support is good, and they're quite wide also. The seat is wide, it's a wide car at the back, so 3 occupants is not an issue in the least. You can of course sit here like the boss with your armrest out, or you can also just fold it away and have place for 3 occupants. Nice and large windows over here, and also a big glass over here means that the cabin feels nice, bright and airy, and you'll never feel claustrophobic inside this cabin. Only one minor negative is the fact that the backrest angle is a bit too upright. Could have been slightly better, could have been a little laid back for those long highway trips, but other than that, it is a nice place to be. Now let's get to my favorite part, talking about the boot on this car. In case you're seeing this car from the back, then you'll always remember it's an Isuzu and not a Fortuner or a Ford or any other car, because Isuzu has given you so much branding. There's a Isuzu badge over here with the Dmax logo, and there's a huge Isuzu sticker over here as well. So as I said, there's no chance that you'll mistake it for some other car. Now talking about the boot area, there's a silver or chrome finish handlebar. There's also a camera right next to it, and it's easy to open. One single click and it opens up, and it is quite sturdy, feels very solid. Now the loading area, or the loading capacity of this car is not in liters but in kilograms, because it's a flat area, and Isuzu says 250 kilos is officially the amount you can load into it. That's the official figure. But of course, being India and being people who drive on the highways, I'm sure a lot of people will overload it. You shouldn't do that. It's illegal and also not very safe, but that's what it is. I think it's good enough to shift your home. You don't need to hire that Tata 407, and this car is quite capable of doing that. If you're a fan of going on trails, on those long off-roading getaways and stuff like that, then this is perfect for you. You can even camp in it, make a nice tent over here and sleep with your entire family. 2 or 3 people can easily relax and sleep. And of course, if it's raining like it is today, you can easily sit over here, have a sip of coffee or chai, and think about those good old days when petrol used to cost only 80 rupees. Anyways guys, now let's jump in the front seat, drive this car around and talk to you about the driving bits. Well, so here I am driving the Isuzu Dmax V-cross now. Now remember, this car now comes with a 1.9 litres diesel engine, and it's a smaller capacity motor than the earlier version of the car, but this one makes a little more power. In terms of power output, it's gone up by about 14 bhp. It makes 163 bhp now, along with 360 Nm of torque, and these are pretty good figures considering the size of the car and the weight of the car. And you also get a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed automatic like I'm driving today, and the automatic really is the one to go for, because with the automatic you get a torque converter technology gearbox, which means that the shifts are quite seamless, quite effortless, and both when you're going up and down in the gearbox, it is a quick responding gearbox. You can also use the shifts manually by simply pulling it on the right side, and of course if you press this lever to the back, it reduces the gears, and if you press it to the forward, it increases the gears. So in that sense, it's quite good. Engine responsiveness is decent. It's a typical diesel engine, which means that around 1800-1900 rpm, it's a little lazy, but once you cross that figure, it does respond with a lot of power. Loads of power comes out after 1900 rpm, and all the way to its red line of about 4000 rpm. There's plenty punch available. And what you'll also like is the fact that this car has very high set seats, so you get a good view of the bonnet line. The visibility from these mirrors is quite good, visibility from here is quite good, and the steering wheel is pretty light and pretty accurate. So if you drive yourself in the city, you want a car which you drive yourself, an SUV you want to drive yourself, then it is quite decent. It also has very good ground clearance, and yes, I don't normally show you off-roading capabilities of cars, because 99% buyers who buy these cars don't buy them for off-roading. They buy them more for the lifestyle, for the image and things like that, and in those departments this car is quite good. So yes, it is a car which can take on some off-roading capabilities as well if you are someone who's game to it. One big negative though of this car is that the suspension setup is very softly sprung, which means that if you're driving on anything less than smooth or completely flat, then this car tends to bob around a bit, and it also tends to when you push into corners, roll around. There's a lot of body roll, so you'll also be rolling around the body of the car like this and like this, and your kids in the car will be feeling that they're going for a ride in an amusement park. But yes, that is something which is there. Sometimes that bobbing around on less than smooth surface can get a little unnerving, so it's best to keep this car at slow speeds, even on the highway, doing about 90 or 100, because if you get a bad patch of road, suddenly all the occupants will be jumping around like this, and your head might hit the roof over here. It does tend to become a little unnerving sometimes, but it's not a deal breaker, because other than that, it is quite a good package. So overall, if you want to travel with your entire family, go up the hills and carry a lot of luggage and a lot of equipment, then the Isuzu V-cross is a car you should definitely keep in your shortlist. It's also a little better in terms of pricing. It's more competitive in its pricing compared to its main rivals. If you have watched this video till the end, don't leave without subscribing to this channel, and do have a look at this car at a Isuzu dealership near you. Bye for now, and thanks so much for watching.